Right, so today we're going over how to get back into skateboarding after a long break. Starting off with how to pick up your board. Right, all that tomfoolery out of the way though, what we're going to be going over is how you can get back into skateboarding easily and safely after you've either had a long break, maybe you haven't even started yet, maybe you thought about starting but haven't quite got around to it, or maybe you're just 30 plus years old, you skated when you were a kid and you're trying to figure out how you can get back into the swing of things. Well, that's what we're going to be covering in today's video. I've got a bunch of tips for you and we're actually at a fairly alright skate park for a change. Fucking hell. Now that I've made a fool of myself entering the skate park trying to pick up my board, almost stacking after saying we're at a good park, I think it's time to get on to day one. Let's say today is your first day thinking about getting back into skateboarding. You're coming up to the park, but actually I would consider maybe even the skate park not being the best place for someone on their first day back skateboarding. You might even be better off finding yourself a car park or just somewhere like a big stretch of concrete that you can just practice riding around on, because that's what you're going to do for your first day back. Obviously, depending on how good you were before you stopped skateboarding, you're going to want to gauge what you can be capable of on your first day. So when you get to the park, you're not going to be going straight to a drop-in unless you've already had experience with it before. So in my personal opinion, I recommend first day you get to the park, remember which way you skate. Remember, left foot forward means you skate regular, like this, or right foot forward, like that, means you skate goofy. So figure out which way you skate, then just get used to riding around. Most likely it will be a car park that you're going to be riding around, or even like your garden, your road if it's big enough. But yeah, first day is just about getting used to the board. If you feel confident and you've got friends you want to skate with, of course, go to the skate park. But if you're on your own, maybe you don't have a friend to skate with, then definitely find somewhere more seclusive at first. We're going to be getting into how you can make more friends at the skate park, but first off, have your first session just getting to know the board and your own limitations. On to tip number 2. All right, so next tip is to be, and this is like a 2-in-1 kind of. If you are gonna go to the skate park, for example, there are 2 things you wanna do. Number 1, get protective gear if you think you need it. This thing on the top of your neck, very important, and you need to protect that cranium at all costs, especially if you've got one even half the size of mine, because this thing is like a light bulb. So get yourself a helmet, get yourself wrist pads. I'd say wrist pads are probably the most important. Knee pads, elbow pads, optional, but my best friend and business partner / co-owner of Escapism, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, actually just broke his elbow skateboarding. So elbow pads definitely worth it, and a helmet is probably the most important for most people. But yeah, don't think just because you see all the other skateboarders and people riding around with no protective gear, don't think that, oh, I need to be just like them. They're gonna take the piss out of me if I wear protective gear. That is not the case. If you wear protective gear, if anything, I would say you're a bit smarter than the people that aren't, especially like me. Because I've hit my head a few times, very, 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 very rarely in the like 15 years or so I've been skateboarding, but it does happen and it's worth protecting yourself from. Yeah, this skate park, well, I'm gonna give you a quick little mini tour just between these 2 tips, but check this out right here, babes, come over here, come over here. If this isn't a reason why you should wear protective gear, skate parks like this scare me. I mean, what the hell is going on here? This ramp to flat to ramp, either make it a flat bank or make it a gap, like a Euro gap. So you would like ollie out of here and land up here. But this second ramp, I'd say this is more for like BMXs, this park, but I mean, it's not comfortable in the slightest. So protective gear, so helmet and pads will save you from stuff like that. And now, right, the next part of this tip, you may be wondering, Webz, when you go to these skate parks and you film, how is it always empty no matter where you go? Well, there are 2 things that I do to try and ensure a nice chilled solo session. Number 1 is when I get to the skate park, I pull out my weapons and I point them at everybody else and tell them to get the fuck out because I'm about to start filming.
Is the requested that everyone maintains a level of silence and respect.
But no, just kidding. Obviously what we do is we come here super early in the morning a lot of times. Like if you come to a skate park at like 6 in the morning, 7 a.m., something like that, you will 99% of the time have the entire skate park to yourself. You might get the odd occasional scooter kid here and there just coming out with like their parents or grandparents or whatever, which is to be expected. Normally I just sit around and wait when there are a lot of kids here, but most of the time the park is empty. So get here early, and if you want to skate with other skateboarders, I would actually say get here in the evening. A lot of the skateboarding scene comes out in the evening. So come here early mornings to train. If you've got a trick that you just need to go back and forth on until you get it, early mornings. If you want to come and skate with people and make some new friends in skateboarding, get out there at like 6, 7 p.m. and skate with the people then, because the best skaters always come out in the evening, and the ones that are training for a certain trick or something always come out early in the mornings. At least that's what I personally do. There are 2 different kinds of sessions. So yeah, when it comes to the 2 different kinds of sessions, if you're trying to get kick flips or pop shove-its or bonelesses or anything, come early in the morning, train, just go back and forth until you get it. But if you want to come in the evening and skate with some people, maybe feed off some energy of some other skateboarders and the like, then definitely come in the evening, because there are 2 types of session: the early morning training session or the late evening hangout session. So definitely get into one of those, if not both, if I was you. All right, next, once you're at the skate park and you've been here once or twice and you've hung out with people, spoke to people, which by the way, you should speak to other skateboarders if you can, find yourself some small ramps and literally just practice going down them. Like this one here, this is not necessarily one of the smallest ones that you'll find, but if you've got all your protective gear, even if it's your first time ever at the skate park, you'll be all right. Just literally crouch down and ride into the ramp. Any ramp is the same technique. Just bend your knees and ride around. Another great thing to do is if you've got like a pool area like this, where you can like carve around the corners, if you want to be extra safe, bring a broom, sweep out all the debris like sticks, stones, especially glass, because a lot of delinquents come to the skate park to drink and sometimes smash glass. So definitely be wary of that. But yeah, come to a place like this, sweep it out, and then once you've got the ramp swept out, just ride around them and like pump around the corners and stuff like this, Just bend your knees into the corners and ride them super slow at first. And the more you ride these, the better you'll get at looking after the ramps. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set ourselves some long-term and some short-term goals. So the long-term goals, for example, are going to be like, if you just started skateboarding, maybe you want to learn how to 180, kickflip, drop in, rock fakie, blunt. Just something that might seem like it's a bit difficult to do now, but we want to build towards that later in the year. And by the way, if you skated a lot when you were younger and you could do flip tricks and stuff, just set yourself the goal of like relearning how to kickflip, relearning how to pop shove it, stuff like that. And then when it comes to short-term goals, set yourself something, Then when it comes to short-term goals, set yourself something that you think is achievable in like the first day. For example, like going down a ramp or riding up the ramp, coming back down fakie. So this skate park's got some really weird transition, but if we drop in, you don't even have to drop in. This is just coming down fakie. Start on the ramp, go up and come down again. If you can already ollie, come to the ramp, ollie to fakie. Or maybe you're like 30 plus years old and you want to do more low-key tricks like a boneless or a no comply. Those are also great short-term goals, or I keep saying girls. Those are also great short long-term goals. I keep fucking it up. Those are both great short-term goals, and the great thing about bonelesses and like no complies and stuff is they're really low stress on the body. So like for example, come out the ramp, and we'll do a no comply. Even out of the ramp, it's not really that dangerous. But again, you've got all the protective gear, so you've got nothing to worry about. the next one. Basically here, if you skated when you were younger, maybe you skated like a year or two ago, see if the friends that you used to skate with are still skateboarding, because who knows, they might have continued this whole time. Maybe they've gotten really good and can teach you how to do certain things. And if they have gotten really good, don't let that get you down, honestly, because comparison to another person's skill level, comparing yourself to them is going to do nothing but take away from your own enjoyment. So compare yourself to the you of like last week, last month. And if you're constantly improving, even if it's only like 5–10% at a time, then that is enough to get really good eventually. So just practice, 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 and improve little bits at a time. But yeah, if you've got a friend that you can hit up and get back to skating with, you can bounce off each other. And like I said earlier, if you get yourself like a skate rival or come up here in the evenings and find someone that is a similar skill level to you, that you can bounce tricks off of and learn together, then that's priceless. Like, so me and my friend Sam, for example, right? If I'm trying a trick and it's something that we could both potentially do, if I'm trying it and I'm not landing it and then he starts trying it and he lands it before me, it motivates me like times 100 to land it afterwards. And usually that will end up happening a lot quicker if you've got someone to bounce back and forth off and motivate you to land the trick. So get yourself some skate friends, whether it be old ones you used to have or going to the park in the evenings and finding new ones. It's an invaluable resource. So 100% recommend doing that as soon as possible. Alright, next tip up, film and track your progress. This is probably one of the most important tips out there for skateboarders, right? For example, even if you feel like, oh, it's not good enough, I'm not worth filming at the moment, if you film yourself now, then watch it in a year's time. If you stick with skateboarding, being able to see how far you've come in like an actual physical format, it's worth so much for motivation and like keeping your morale up. It's something that I wish I did, even though I first started skateboarding in like 2005, something like that. I wish that we had camera phones back then so I could have documented the progress, but hey, you kids have got it, so make the most of it. And if you're trying to learn a trick, for example, you're looking up a kickflip tutorial, which by the way, the best one on the internet lies on this channel, so make sure you subscribe for that. But anyway, so get your kickflip tutorial, get a video of yourself trying it, watch the two together, try and figure out what's happening in the landed kickflip compared to what's happening in your version of the not landed kickflip. Compare the two and try and figure out what you're doing wrong by comparing the clips together. Doing that and also tracking your progress in like a folder on your computer or on your phone, so important for keeping the morale up, and it's just a really cool project to have going. Right, and my final tip for this video for those getting back into skateboarding is literally just skate as much as you humanly possibly can. Like, the more you come down the park on your own to meet new people, the more you come down with a friend, the more you just skate in the car park near your house, every single minute you spend stood on the board, whether you're trying tricks or just cruising, you are always improving. Think about it like this, right? If you've played an RPG, a role-playing game like Pokemon or RuneScape or World of Warcraft or Skyrim, anything, when you play the game, as you just progress, you're slowly leveling up. While you may not get the level up every like 5 minutes or so, you're always getting a little bit of EXP on the EXP bar. That's what skateboarding is when you're riding and cruising. When you learn a new trick or get something you've been trying for ages, that's when you hear the bing, 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 level up. But the more you do it, the more time you spend on the board, the better off you're gonna be, the more fun you're gonna have, and the less likely of injury you're gonna have. Oh, and finally, as a bonus tip to chuck in this video that I forgot to put in earlier in the video, is make sure that if you are older and you're like 30 plus or whatever, stretch out before a session. Whether you've got the protective gear or not, having a stretch out before your session, literally simple ones like this, sit down, touch your toes, twist the body like this. If you're doing like 180s and stuff, you can easily twist a muscle inside there or inside your back. So just stretch those out. Stretch out the hamstrings and whatnot by touching your toes. And then just wherever you can to feel a bit looser before the session, you know? Very important for the older skateboarder and for the younger skateboarder too, but just a little bit more so for the older gentleman. But yeah, that pretty much covers everything that you need to know for getting back into skateboarding or even starting skateboarding afresh if you haven't done it before. That's it for this video. Let me know anything that I missed in the comments and I'll see you guys in the next one.